So next up, I'd like to introduce a startup, Kamron from, I'm sorry. Oh, two of us, or two of you guys, all right, sorry. Kamron and Alex from Propel IT. I'd like to bring them up.
Hello everyone, thanks for having us here. We are a startup company from Pittsburgh, so we enjoyed our travel here to Hartford. My name is Kamron, and this is Alex, and we're excited to show how we reduce critical safety events by over 50% using an approach that is unique to Propel. The reason it is important because commercial auto insurance has been a challenging business. The loss ratio has been 111% for the past several years. Accidents are persisting, and customers are not happy with prices, and insurance carriers are not comfortable with the risk they're taking. We built a product called Route Risk, and it is seamless to use, hardware agnostic, easy to install. Oops. What makes Route Risk effective is the way how we combine mobile technology, public and private data, and real-time, second-by-second driver data.
Thanks. So the way that we bring all of that data together is on a three-platform approach. So to begin with is our mobile application is probably the most important platform for us. It's our data engine, and it's also the endpoint for our risk mitigation aspects. So this mobile application will go inside the cab of any commercial vehicle, especially in trucking. It can work alongside any ELD that's on an Android or iOS platform. And what it does is it dynamically understands the behavior and starts to map the behavior patterns of every truck driver that uses this platform. So we even incorporate, like Kamron said, public databases, partnerships with equipment data, and we apply it along the driver's routes. And as they approach those areas, we actually start to speak to the driver. So whatever message the insurer or risk manager wants to get across to that driver, it could be, you specifically have had 10 hard braking events coming up at this intersection, exhibit this behavior. There's several other things that the transportation managers and even insurers can start to add to that dynamic mapping. So how does that end up helping us? The second dashboard would be for the transportation managers. So this is where you get to see whether those drivers are listening, whether they're actually starting to mitigate their own behaviors by listening to the messages that come across that system. So if you're a transportation manager, from this dashboard you can monitor your entire fleet, you can monitor an individual driver, you can see if they're listening to those messages. We capture that, we turn that into a normalized score, so very quickly any manager or any insurer can look at it and say, okay, this driver doesn't care. Maybe we should either retrain them or just get rid of them altogether because they're creating an enormous amount of risk. So then what you're also able to do from an insurer carrier dashboard, so this is probably what everybody here is more interested in, we take all of that data for every trucking fleet in the United States. So all of the DOT information, your inspections, your speeding tickets, all the FMCSA data for accidents, and we plot it across every single state. Then we let you drill down into that state. You can see every accident, every piece of information for any trucking company in the United States, again, for that county. And then we start to plot it along each entire road segment in the entire United States. So what you'd be able to see for any company that you work with or do not work with at that time is their actual behaviors across not only their own routes, but the risk associated with those routes that they work within. So obviously California is a very risky place to drive, but not so much in parts of Northern California or Central California. So instead of looking at a state or even just a county, you'll be able to understand the true risk value of each driver inside a fleet and the risk value of the area which they drive within. So all of that coming together, all of those types of analytics, all of the predictive things that you can do, understanding not just those drivers in their risk areas, but the types of equipment that they have and utilize within those high-risk areas. It just gives a clear picture in one centralized location, whether you work with that company or not. So whether you're determining as an underwriter what the rate's going to be, I'm still learning insurance, so you tell me what you do with it. But you just have a clearer picture before you work with somebody, while you work with them, and as that 100% turnover for all of these trucking companies continues to get worse, you'll understand that looking 5 years in the past at this massive amount of data, you're looking at a totally different company at that point in time. So you're going to want to know up to the second, is their risk profile the same as it was 3 months ago? Probably not. You probably have a third of their company or a quarter of their company's already turned over. So what has come in and how are they behaving? All of that comes together. We reduce those critical safety events by over 50%, and you get a risk profile of the managers. So if you have a whole fleet and this region is not doing what they're supposed to do, they're not mitigating any risk, their drivers aren't improving, you might want to start looking at, is the management the problem and not so much the drivers? So all of that comes together, improvement in loss ratio. I mean, it's a direct impact on fleet behavior, which is a direct impact on what your claims and what your loss ratio is going to be. So the product is obviously ready, it's out there, we have a few hundred users already. We've been named top 10 solution provider by Logistics Tech Outlook. We're definitely well capitalized, we're positioned to scale. So if anybody has any questions or would like to see a little bit more about our product and our company, you can come on over and talk to me. I'm a horrible salesman, so you don't have to worry about me hounding you to buy anything. I'm just more interested in speaking and making some connections here today. So thanks again.
All right, thanks, Cameron. Alex? So next up,